Uh, I don't know where to go. Okay. I'm gonna
We're cutting it. We're wrapping up.
we're okay.
We've been
Well,
RDR. No.
fuck's sake. At least it's a short one. This will be easy to cut out.
Oh,
Maybe I'll make it
man.
the intro.
I took a Lisa on your heart. I took a Lisa on your heart. Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart? Can I Lisa, Lisa Bart?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we are on a quest for Dynasty domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
I'm going good. I'm doing great, man. I'm just gonna do this every week, but I did not win all of my sleeper leagues
Mm.
last week. I tripped up and had the second highest points and lost by four in the league. So,
Oh, that's tough.
but man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like playoff bound, possibly. The dream is still no doors have closed on the season.
That's awesome.
So I'm happy, man. We just did a trade.
Yeah, we did right
Holy
before.
shit.
It was
I
fun.
forgot. Yeah, you snuck one in on me.
Yeah, I figured you'd be into that. But
Hell yeah.
yeah, I mean I only won in one league this week on Sleeper. Even took the first L in my fantasy basketball league that I'm doing, and so that was sad.
Well,
But I'm actually the only for the belt am I really probably out. And I don't even think I'm mathematically out in for the belt, but I'm out in for the belt. There's no chance. But it's been all right. Our Jersey League, the Fresh Duds, hey yo, sitting in a
hey,
playoff
yeah,
spot right
man.
now. Let's
That's
go.
awesome. Got to keep it alive, man. It's nice to go from the last place Russell Wilson jersey to contention.
Potential
We got to
playoff
figure out what
spot.
last place is going to end up with
Oh
this
yeah.
year.
What? Yeah. Oh no, I'm not sure. There's like three or four guys that it might be too. I hope it's AJ. It'd be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how good his team is though. Anyway, enough of me ranting about leagues that you guys, as the audience, don't care about, except maybe some of you do because you might be in them. But speaking of fantasy playoffs and everything, we are going to, just like everybody else on the internet, we're going to talk some trade deadline news, but we're going to be, or not news, but trade deadline buy and sells for you guys. And obviously, we're going to be a little more dynasty focused than redraft. So I don't think either of us are recommending you trade for these older players right now. It's all going to be relatively young, or at least I know mine were. But with that all being said, caveats out of the way, let's go ahead and do some buys first. So who you got for me, Dan?
Okay, I'm going to start out with wide receiver. I'm going for Elijah Moore.
Okay.
And just a little context, I feel like I have like a strategy when it comes to, targeting trades in a dynasty league. A lot of times it's like, has this guy been disappointing but has potential and
Mm-hmm.
is currently valued at his original draft capital? And if that's the case, kind of slip in and just take that 2 year rental away from the current manager. I feel like that's where we're at with Elijah Moore. He had the second round capital initially, and I think that's probably where he's at right about now. But I think guys who have rostered him for the past couple of years might be happy to get that value back.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at what he's doing with the Browns, all of a sudden he started the season off with a 7 target game and then 2 9 target games. And that week 3, he actually caught all 9 of those targets. But he did have a fumble, and then that coincided with the next week. He only had 4 targets. But I think that they kind of let you know how they feel about Elijah Moore in Cleveland, with the Donovan Peoples Jones trading out of there. It's really looking hot. Watson's out now, and so managers are probably cool with cashing in. And I'm all about Elijah Moore. We've liked him for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing good happens to players drafted by the Jets apparently, but now he's got some breathing room. One thing that really stood out to me for him stats wise is he is actually one of only 7 guys to have 0 drops on over 50 targets.
Hmm.
So I mean, he's getting work, pretty good out of the slot, and he's getting, he's catching the balls that are going his way. I like him. I've always liked him. He's a feisty dude coming out, and I think you should go after him, man. I don't know why not.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. With Deshaun Watson being hurt, that's tough. You got to be relying on Thompson Robinson or this season, so like he may not be a play for this year. And then like Deshaun's just been so inconsistent and weird this whole time, and now Elijah Moore's tied to him for the foreseeable future, so that's kind of weird. But you're right. I mean, his value is super low right now. Like if you look at something like keep trade cut, Dalton Schultz or Alexander Mattinson could get it done. Like I'd be fine paying that price. I think the wide receiver premium there for those kind of like that older tight end and like a middling running back there. So I still like the talent a lot. It sucks that it hasn't worked, but you're right. You got to kind of buy these guys when people are getting sick of them already sometimes. So, speaking of guys with over 50 targets and 0 drops, I'm going to talk about Josh Downs. Now, this one kind of subverts that a little bit because his value is actually pretty high right now. It's higher than what he got drafted at, but I just think that he's worth it. Like I just think from what we've seen this season out of him, I think it's time to buy him because a lot of people might be trying to get out of him because they're worried that when he comes back with Anthony Richardson, they're not going to throw as much. He's not going to get as much work. I think he's already proven that he can be the number 2 in the Colts offense out of the slot. And with Anthony Richardson in week 1, he had 7 targets. He didn't go for a ton yet. But I don't think we're going to run into a situation where he's not going to get targets. Like maybe not as many as like 12 in week 3 when he was playing with Gardner Minshew, but like he's still gonna get some, and he's been highly efficiently productive. 60 targets on the year. That's 27 more than Alec Pierce and 30 more than the first tight end. So he's definitely second on the team. But of those 60 targets, only 46 of them were deemed catchable, and he has 43 catches with 0 drops. So as long as we can get him the ball, it seems like he's going to be a true slot or safety valve for Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to be, like I said, he's a little bit more expensive than these other guys. I was seeing like a late 2024 first even, which might be a little pricey for a slot guy. I don't know that I would quite pay that, but if you could sneak like an early second or something for Josh Downs, I think that would be a really good trade to make. I think I kind of whiffed on not grabbing him in the draft. I just think he looks really solid this year.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of those guys, right? 5'9", 170. It's like, if you're good at the position and all positions and you want to take a flyer, go for it. But otherwise, where he's being drafted, you had to go for something with a little more meat on the bone. But yeah, I mean, Downs is killing it, man, and he's got a pretty good schedule coming out of the bye too. Tampa Bay, Tennessee, Pittsburgh's in there, so I think if you get him now, he's worth the cost. I think he could be an immediate kind of payback to you, as well as a really solid asset going forward, man.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I'm with you on that 100% of the way. Let's see. I will do another buy. And this one, this is a weird exercise for everybody. Okay. It's weird for me too. But I'm going after Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
He is currently the QB 19, which is not good. 3 spots behind Baker Mayfield. So if you're into that, then you're into Trevor Lawrence. Guess what he just did? He had like a 5-point week. Yeah. So that's not what you want. His schedule coming up is pretty nasty as well. So I don't know. It's a little frightening. If you have been starting him, you're probably willing to let someone else start him because he's kind of had a rough career. And this is a guy who was a middle of the first round in a single quarterback league.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to give somebody, I don't know, future capital and Geno Smith, they might stare at that offer for quite a long time. So I still believe in Trevor Lawrence quite a bit. Um, he's got like the 10th best passer rating amongst like starting
Mhm.
quarterbacks, which is not too bad. But he's taken a ton of sacks, man. He's got 24 sacks, and he doesn't really have a uniquely high pressure rate. So he's getting sacked on 23% of his pressures,
Mm.
which is sixth in the league, right there with Russell Wilson, which I guess he's on the up right now, but in the past year or so, it's not really a good thing to be compared to Russell Wilson. So
Mhm.
he needs to kind of figure that out. But the real thing that's killing him fantasy wise is he only has 9 touchdowns. It's been a little brutal for Jacksonville in the red zone. You
Mm.
add that in these Travis Etienne kind of like going off on the ground.
Really
So
is.
I think it's all going to balance out a little bit. So he's middle of the pack stats wise, and I think there's a lot of potential for it to all come together for him. I think Calvin Ridley has been a little bit of a bust as
Mm.
far as what he was supposed to do for that offense. So I'm just thinking if you drafted him in the middle of the first round in a single QB league, and he's been doing this to you this whole time, I mean, it's got to be a vulnerable opportunity. I think that he's going to be way better than quarterback 19 going forward once this team kind of levels out. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird one, but I like Trevor Lawrence going into the year. I still like him, but if you had him, you probably not loving him. So
Yeah, he's a tough one to evaluate. I mean, I think it would depend on where I'm at. If I had the QB space to roster him to wait for him to get a little better, I might do it. Or like I just traded away Chase for like Richardson in a package because my team sucked. And like if in a situation like that, maybe get it done. But like if you're trying to trade for him to do one of those like, okay, get value, get young talent as well as compete, like I don't know, because like you said that schedule coming up is tough. Calvin Ridley
yeah,
hasn't really opened up that offense. They don't have Evan Ingram hasn't really like been crazy, crazy good. I mean, I know he's had flashes and stuff, but like that offense has just been anemic outside of Travis Etienne. So it's an interesting one. I'm with you. Like the logic is there. These like buying somebody at this high of a stock, or at least original NFL draft stock at a lower value is like really, really a good call. It's just kind of like I think this one's really roster dependent to me, especially say in a super flex. If you wanted to try to make this move, still be pretty expensive move to make, I'd
yeah.
imagine. And you
Mhm.
can't really be selling like, oh, here's my first and my like QB2 right now, because he's
Right.
not going to give you that value back right now. So if you don't have somebody to kind of cover for him, it may not it may tank your season, you know. But I think you could say that with literally any trade that it's roster dependent. So it's kind of nonsense to say, I guess, but
No,
there it
no,
is.
it's valid. Yeah, I mean, if you look more into if you're not giving up like a first, obviously, if you're in a super flex league, if you have like an older quarterback that's doing well right now, I threw Gino out there, but there's quite a few of them that are really doing all right. Stafford, I guess, is doing pretty decent. Maybe you've got Russell Wilson on a bump right now. I'm
Mhm.
like any of these guys, I'm willing to trade out of to get Trevor Lawrence and throw a little bit of like a second in there to make it a little more enticing, for
Gotcha.
someone who's trying to compete. But Trevor Lawrence is holding them back right now.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
Gotcha.
he's not gonna give you the juice you need
Not right
right
now, no.
now. Not even close.
For sure. But hey, we are a dynasty podcast, so
That's right.
makes sense. So I don't have a quarterback, or I would just mirror that. So I'm gonna go tight end just to throw it off a little. I tried to stay away from guys that I talked about all season, but I couldn't stay away from this one. Luke Musgrave. I this is a more of a feeling than a numbers one, and a lot of these other ones are numbers based. But Musgrave just has the look to me like he flies off the field when you're watching him. 7 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown over the last 3 weeks. Got a projection out for the rest of the season of 55 catches, 591 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So the touchdowns are weak, but fairly certain the receptions and yardage would both be Packers tight end rookie records. So
Hmm.
like this is the most Green Bay's ever used a tight end. He has more or a rookie tight end coming in, or at least since I've been alive. More targets than Christian Watson. He's third on the team. He has 31 more targets than the next closest tight end. And to me, right now, the value for him, he kind of spiked there for a minute to like an early second, but we've seen the production still kind of come up, and I think he's going to finish the season a little stronger. But right now, you could here's some guys that according to Keep Trade Cut would be fair value that I'd 100% trade for Luke Musgrave right now. Romeo Dobbs, Jared Goff, Gabe Davis, Marvin Mims. 100%, 100. I'd send it. All of those trades.
Oh,
I think Musgrave, like in terms of Dobbs, I think Musgrave is going to be more frequent in this offense than Dobbs. Dobbs is going to be like the classic like Packer favorite because he makes all these insane catches and like really big time third down catches and like big scores when you need him to, but like maybe as far as like fantasy workload, it's not crazy. But all these other guys, I mean, I know Gabe Davis goes off here and there. I don't know. I think the tight end premium position there gives it to me over a up and down receiver like that. You can also get him for a late second, according to Keep Trade Cut. Like any of that, I would do. I just throw on the film first, check him out. But once he kind of reels in this deer attitude where he kind of trips every time he catches the ball, I think he'll get that figured out. He's going to start taking a lot more of these passes a lot farther. And I'm just still in on him. And he's kind of slid in value. And I think you can get a really good tight end going forward for fairly cheap.
I like it, dude. I don't know. I didn't know what to say back to you on this one. I saw it coming. I saw it coming.
That's fair.
And I had nothing. I didn't know. I didn't know where you're going with this. You're saying Gabe Davis, Marvin Mims, Romeo Dobbs. Oh, that's rough. That's rough. Ah, shit. I don't even know. I don't know what to say. I'm just gonna do a tight end. I'm gonna do a tight end, and then you can be like, "That's what I was saying," and I'll be like, "Okay." Then I agree completely. But I'm going for Trey McBride, dude. I mean, here we go. It's official, right? I don't blame Kyler for Cliff Kingsbury. That's it. That's where I'm at with this. So yeah, I don't know what happens if Kyler looks okay, but they still kind of suck, right? That's what we need to happen. And they draft like Marvin Harrison Jr. next year, right? And then all of a sudden, this offense looks amazing. And you know what really looks amazing is Trey McBride right now, man. This guy is coming off of the tight end 2 week. Yeah, you got him in week 10. And he was number 1, man, numero uno in week 8. It's hot. It's hot, man. He is real. Yeah, and he's not really free, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like he's the kind of guy you should be willing to overpay for.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, I mean, a lot of guys will use a tight end that has a bump in value to get future capital, to address the big ticket items, your running backs and your wide receivers. And it seems like some people think, I'm learning it's not true, but I feel like people think that tight end has like a high level of replaceability. So they're willing to part ways. And in Dynasty, man, I feel like, yeah, man, 1 in the hand is worth 2 in the bush as far as the tight ends go. And so for that reason, I need this guy. I need this guy in my squad. He had a slow start to the season, and then the last 4 weeks have been tight end 20, tight end 1, tight end 27, tight end 2. So whoever's rostering McBride in your leagues has been starting a different tight end for the first half of the season, and they might have started him 2 weeks ago when he put up that tight end 27 week, and they might be a little hesitant to trust him because he hasn't been very consistent. But the dude is popping off, so you need to go after him and get him. He's actually got PFF's 12th rated pass catcher grade amongst all pass catchers. That's all pass catchers.
Oh wow.
All. Yeah, and he's 13 in yards per route run. amongst all pass catchers. That is right between Travis Kelsey and Stephon Diggs. Like
Hmm.
this guy is seriously a badass, man. And keep trade cut, man. They got him at a mid 2024 second, which is pretty much his original draft cost.
Mm.
Like if you can get him for that, I'm telling you, it's time to get a little feisty and try to put him on your squad, man. Because it's worth it. It's worth it. Get the paper out, chase the cost, man. Because
Hmm.
anyone that's been burned by him this year has probably got a pretty itchy trigger finger, and they're gonna get real excited. People love selling high, but you are still buying low because this guy's a real deal.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And I think having a stellar tight end in Dynasty is such an advantage. I mean, obviously, I didn't pull off a championship and for the belt, but having Kelsey in there every week as a lock-in starter and knowing you're going to get 6 to 7 points more than your opponent's tight end. Now, I'm not saying McBride can be Kelsey, but you already said it. He's like putting up the yards per route run just like he is. And Zach Ertz crushed it with Kyler Murray. He was the tight end 3 2 years ago or whatever it was. And Kyler looked awesome in his return, just like you're saying. And now, if they do all this BS we heard, and I was one of these guys that said maybe the Cardinals will trade Kyler Murray, if that doesn't end up being a thing, which after Sunday, I don't know why you would unless you get some King's ransom for him, then you do add to this offense. Let's go get a Marvin Harrison Jr. and then like let's send it. And like you're saying, he's worth mid second on keep trade cut. Like I don't know. I'm a McBride owner in a few dynasty leagues. I'm not selling him for that. Like you would have to come get him from me, and that's kind of like going into the Musgrave thing. That's kind of like I'm projecting him out as like a slow starting maybe McBride like potential later, to where okay, yes, you're giving up a receiver who could be good, but like one of these fourth or fifth receivers for a potential at a consistent 16-point tight end. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think McBride is that guy. He's so consistently good, even going back to Colorado State. I mean, he was putting up crazy tight end numbers in college, and just it wasn't necessarily always big chunk plays. It's just this he catches everything. He's open. He knows how to run routes, similar to that guy, old Travis Kelsey. You know what I mean? And so, again, not projecting him out to be that good, but I'm 100% with you on this one. I've got him in 2 of our dynasty leagues we're in together. I would try to make a move to get him in the other ones. I think he's gonna be really good.
Yeah, boy, he's the best. Yeah, John Mackey Award winner, man. Don't
There we
forget it.
go. All right. Let's go. I'm gonna do a running back real quick.
Okay.
Let's go. I think you should go buy Jalen Warren. Now, this one is there's a small caveat to this. He is 25, which is a little surprising. Just
Yeah, it
slightly
is.
like 6 months less or 6 months younger than Najee Harris. So he's not like that amazing of a dynasty value in that sense. But Warren has looked like the better player all season than Najee Harris in Pittsburgh right now. The PFF grade on Najee Harris is 64 in the rushing game. For Jalen Warren, it's 81.8. Just significantly better. He's starting to encroach on his snap count. They had the same exact number of snaps this week, 51% of the share. Najee Harris had 16 carries, 82 yards and a touchdown. 24 of that was on one carry. Warren went off for 15, 101 and a touchdown. That's and even efficiency, Najee Harris is at 4.0 yards per carry, which is, that's good. It's not amazing, but it's good. And then Jalen Warren's at 5.1 for the year right now. He's also out targeting Najee Harris, 39 to 25 right now, which Najee, that was one of his biggest selling points coming out of the draft, is that he was a great receiver as well as this big physical running back. And now he's not even getting that work. And if we start to see Jalen Warren take this over, I think Warren might be the guy, like the main guy going forward, and they use Najee. I don't think they get rid of Najee. It'd be weird. He was a first round pick. He's up for another year next year, and then they even have the 5th-year option that they have to decide on. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm off on the numbering of the years there. But you can likely get Jalen Warren for a second in most leagues, and I think he's going to be worth it down down the stretch this year and beyond. And like I said, age is concerning if you want to make a move like that, but I do think he's going to be worth it, man. He looks explosive now. He is one of these undrafted guys at running back, and like one of these late round undrafted guys do tend to pop for a year. And maybe if you don't want to believe on that, it could be scary, but I don't know. He just looks like the guy in Pittsburgh, and right now to me, anyway.
Yeah, man. No, he's incredible. You nailed it. You nailed it. What is he, the sixth running back in the league in target numbers with 39 targets?
Yeah, something like that. I didn't. Yeah,
That's what I saw, and I was like, shit. I traded him to you for a second, man. So
yeah. Hey, and that second was that's in a super flex though, 10
yep,
team, so that's a pretty decent
it's
second.
good. Hmm.
But I'm still happy with it. I got to start him this week because I got Bijan and
I'm
Jonathan Taylor
jealous,
on
man.
by.
Yeah, I'm like, shit, man. As I was watching him play last week, and he was crushing it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Now,
you got to see it in person. You were like scared
oh
of him,
yeah,
weren't you?
it was fun. It was
My
fun.
Packers.
I feel bad. Well, yeah, it was weird. It was a weird fun. But it you small caveat though, everybody runs on Green Bay. So let's see how he looks, more often, but he's looked good all year, so shouldn't be a factor. Anyway, I keep talking. You want to hit me with your last buy?
Yeah, I love listening to you talk, man. Yeah, Pittsburgh's got Cleveland this week, so I guess we'll find out a little bit more
Yeah,
uh,
we'll see
about
there.
uh, about Warren. He did get traded in our for the belt league straight up for Joe Mixon recently. So that's where we're at with the value on this. Um, but yeah, my last buy is also a running back.
Ooh.
Man, I don't know how we sync up like this, but it's going well. It's Brian Robinson,
Mm,
and I guess I don't know if I have a theme here. Most of these guys, McBride, even Elijah Moore, he had his best week in the last 2 years. And then yeah, Brian Robinson coming off of a pretty amazing week himself.
hmm
Um, so that's what I'm looking to entice people to sell high by selling low for the future, right? Long term, I think these guys have a lot more potential, but their price has taken a pretty good leap recently. But I don't think it's reached the apex. So I'm trying to get these guys on their upward climb. That's where I'm at with Brian Robinson. Um, it's the pass catching work for me with him, man. We're coming off of Antonio Gibson's supposed to be the guy. He's over there with 9 yards per catch. Meanwhile, Brian Robinson is at 12.8, and that's just like pretty incredible. In fact, his yards after the catch per reception of 13.8 leads the entire league, of all pass catchers. So
Hmm.
that's pretty good, man. His A dot's -1, and then his yards after the catch is 13.8. So he's got 12.8 average.
Hmm.
I don't know. He's kicking all the ass. But you're like, oh shit, all these things are awesome. He's the running back six. Why would anyone ever sell this guy? Well, here's the thing, right? He's got 2 weeks over 25 points. He's got 4 weeks under 10 points. He's got 4 weeks between 10 and 14 points. It's wildly inconsistent. Calling him the RB6 is not really entirely accurate if you've been starting him. He's not really guaranteeing you victories, but Antonio Gibson is in the last year of his rookie deal. We're looking at a Commanders organization that will likely have zero things in common with the group that brought in Antonio Gibson going into next year. So I don't think I think that all the little bit of work, like let's see what we can get out of Gibson that's going on, won't really be a problem for Robinson if he keeps going the way he's going. I think he's sustainable as a top 10 RB, but his value isn't really there yet. So if you can get him before he gets to where he's going, I think that's the thing to do, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I respect it. I don't know that I would
Ooh.
personally do that. I call me a hater. I don't know. Maybe I think you might be buying at peak value. Like I get it. The receiving work has been way more impressive than you would think. I just is there a massive overhaul in Washington coming? Like, I don't know. Is Ron Rivera still going to be there? Is all this going to be going moving forward? And as far as on the ground, he's been good. 4 yards a carry, 2.85 yards per contact, or yeah, yards after contact per attempt, which is meh. Uh so me personally, I like what you're saying is you're getting him on the ascending. I almost think you're buying him at peak value, but I could be wrong, and that's where you got to make these moves. Because it's all sound. Yeah. Sam Howell's been using him a lot out of the backfield. It seems as though Sam Howell's not going anywhere. So you could pair him with a guy he already trusts pretty well. I just think I'm a bit skeptical on Washington as a whole still. And maybe I'm just slow on the uptake on this one, which is, it happens. So, but I respect it. I mean, it's hard to argue, especially with the receiving work he's getting. But even like you're saying, his ADOT's -1 or like -0.1 or whatever,
Yeah.
but his yards after catch is 13. Like that seems fluky to me, less than like consistent or like repeatably productive. But again, you never know. And those are my 2 cents. But I do see like he's been exploding. He's the RB6. It's hard to argue with that. I just don't know that I would buy it going forward, but he's going to make me look silly because I already traded him for a second last year. Should have held on to him and traded him this year. So what are
Yeah,
you going to
probably
do?
wouldn't get much more than a second currently, but I just, I mean, I expect more from this entire offense next
Gotcha.
year. I expect Sam Howell to not be the quarterback next year,
Oh,
and
okay.
I expect a little bit more balanced offense would open up even more opportunities for a running back. But I am often wrong when it comes to to
Well,
these things.
hey,
But
we both are.
I found him to be interesting. I've been out on him forever, and so his recent success has kind of just made me like he looks good. He
Yeah,
looks
no,
good.
he
He looks
does.
great in the red zone,
He does.
and he
Yeah,
looks good in the pass game. So
absolutely.
I'm in on it.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's hard to argue. And maybe that is my reluctance to buy in on a guy that I wasn't in on. And maybe I'm more like, oh, it's recency bias instead of just maybe it is what it is. But anyway, moving on to my last buy. I'm gonna go with Drake London here. To me, I just still think you buy the dip on the elite level wide receiver while we wait on a quarterback. You could apply this kind of to Garrett Wilson and kind of to Chris Olave, but it almost seems like people understand that with those two guys. Like, oh, he doesn't have Rodgers. Oh, Carr is blah. But for whatever reason, people are ready to move on from the Falcons. And I hear it. Like, Arthur Smith kind of got the word that he's going to be there next year. So, like, that's scary, which also, honestly, that buys in to why I'm saying this. Because as far as a PFF receiving grade, Drake London had an 85.3 last year, which would be a high quality starter. And right now, he would be still an above average at 77.8. And that I could even have those wrongs. He might be even higher than that in terms of their grading scale. Of his 60 targets this season, only 40 have been deemed catchable by Player Profiler. Drake London has 40 catches this season. Just, I don't know. Again, I say it a lot on this show. I'm not a math wizard, but it seems like it's pretty good. His true catch rate is 92.5%. The Falcons' red zone touches go like this for receivers. Kyle Pitts is 4, Johnny Smith is 8, Scotty Miller has 2, Matt Collins has 2, Drake London has 10. So
Yikes.
it's not like they're not using him, and he's still just 22 years old. It's not like he's, oh my gosh, he's 24 already, he's 25 already. He came in young, and now like we're gonna get a quarterback in Atlanta. They're gonna make a move either for a more consistent vet or they'll send Arthur Smith out of town, whatever. Even if you buy him now and have to wait another year before Arthur Smith's gone and we get a quarterback, I still would buy the dip on Drake London. Right now, his value has dipped to a late 2024 first, which I would 100% pay in a heartbeat, because you would have been taking him with the 103, the 102, in certain circumstances. Other players that I would take straight up in a deal for Drake London right now, Saquon Barkley. I would trade him for Drake London right now. Cooper Kupp, I would do that right now. I mean, depending on your team, Cooper Kupp's going to help you, and Saquon's going to help you win a championship, probably more. Well, I guess. Hang on, Saquon hurt? Am I tripping right now?
It just sucks.
He may, and then even Josh Jacobs is another guy that I would probably do. That one would be a little tough, but I would probably still do that. And if you're wanting to keep trade cut, those are all fair trades. I would do that right now. Like, it depends on your roster construction, obviously, and always. But Drake London to me is a superstar premium or talent around the level of all these other high quality receivers that is being slept on because he's not getting the consistent work. And now there's a nightmare scenario where you pay this and then he still never gets that consistent work and it's still just frustrating for you. But I just tend to lean buying into the talent, and he's even proved, even with the little amount of work that he's had, he's been great. He just hasn't gotten the consistent work or the at least the good enough targets that can get him to fantasy production really well.
Yeah, I mean, we all know the story, right? If you can get Drake London, you get him, man. You go get him. 22. Yeah, I always forget he's that young. But fucking, I can't believe they're bringing Arthur Smith back
That is
sight
wild.
unseen, man.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Ken Dorsey's getting fired because people can't catch the damn ball.
Can't stop throwing picks, can't stop fumbling the ball. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's also like, if the Falcons lose every game this season, do we actually think that Arthur Smith's going to stay there? Like, no, I think that stuff is contingent on,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is a nightmare. It is scary, but I think that's leaning into how you can get somebody like this who's this young at a dip in value.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you got to think like the trade deadline is now, like
Mm-hmm.
you have to take the current situation. You have to force people to make a decision,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully you can put them, give them something that makes them tilt, and go get it. So
Yeah.
I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
Cool.
Um,
Well, do you want to give me somebody that you're going to sell?
yeah, man. I don't know if it's gonna hold up or not, but I'm selling Kyron Williams,
Okay.
man.
Mm.
I know he's doing great. He's doing so good. He's a running back 22, even though he's on IR. And I really want to put Najee here, but I can't with Najee. I'm like, I feel like he's just gonna linger and become relevant, stay relevant. But with Kyron, this is more of a feel thing. His stats are great. Like his PFF rushing grade is, top 5. He's doing very well. Um, but he's injured right now. He's got a knee problem. He's on the IR. He's 5'9", 194. It's a little small. And I worry about the Rams because they seem like they have running backs that get hot and then they get injured. And then it's like, it just never comes back, or it might be a game or two or whatever. But this team that has always said, forget you picks, has all their picks next year, and they're ready to roll. Meanwhile, we're looking at Kyron, whose keep trade cut value peaked at like 5,200. It's still at 4,900. The guy's been on IR for 4 weeks. Like, sell his ass now.
Yeah.
This is insane. Like, this should never happen. You should
Mm-hmm.
never have an injury after having a non-existent rookie year, have this pop, and then just maintain this value like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he is worth selling. You can get a late first for him, and I think I'd do that all day.
Oh yeah,
Guys
100%.
you love, Josh Downs. Like, would you? I mean, feels like that'd be
I would
an
do that.
okay pick. Um, I even feel fine doing like David Montgomery's right in this range. And that's about it. I don't know how crazy I'd really get. I don't know if you're going to talk about Rashad White, but it's kind of a coin flip between the two of those guys.
I kind of have a similar as you
Oh,
bring it up. Yeah, he's my sell is Rashad White. So I do have a similar feeling about these guys. I think like they're popping really, really aggressively right now. Well, obviously Kyron's not at this moment being on IR, but like his touchdown production through that when he was really, really good was like crazy high. Like it was,
Oh
he
yeah.
was getting like, it felt like every time he touched the ball, he was scoring a touchdown, which I just don't see that coming. And doesn't it just feel like, okay, the Rams have all their picks now? Like, doesn't it feel like Sean McVay is going to go get him a running back that he loves? Like, not necessarily spend a first on him or go get somebody like Todd Gurley or anything like that. But like,
Right.
he wants somebody that he like relies on to be a superstar. I could see them spending a second round pick on a running back next year. And if he does do that, if the Rams do spend that second round pick, then Kyron is dead in the water to me. So if you could get a first for him right now, I would do that all day. I would do it for downs, like you're saying. Um, so yeah, I'm right there with you. He's been good, and I did like him on film before the combine and stuff. So maybe
Yeah.
this is one of those like he's his resurgence. But now I'm with you. I think I would sell him, especially if you could get that first.
Yeah,
Um,
and I mean, you bring up McVay, like the dude's constantly getting burnt by, putting his eggs in one RB basket. And another thing you brought up, Todd Gurley, man, Kyron Williams has like the lowest receiving grade
mm,
amongst like running backs that are relevant. It's a
mhm.
PFF, it's like a
Oof,
41.9. It
good
is
lord.
complete dog shit. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not going to fly in a McVay
Mm-mm.
offense, man.
No.
So I mean, yeah, like you're saying, he had what, 4 games with multiple touchdowns, maybe only 3. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, that's awesome for fantasy owners, but that is not sustainable. Cooper Kupp was not on the field when that was happening. Like
Yeah.
so many things. Just sell his ass, man. Just sell
Yeah.
him.
I'm 100% with you on that one. And so yeah, I already did spoil it with my sell of
I
Rashad White.
spoiled it. That's my
You're good.
bad.
I did have a quick honorable mention though. Tony Pollard's about to be 27 years old. Just sell him. Get out while you
Thank you.
can. Like just get out. I he's looked okay in spurts, but like the burst is gone. If you can still get his value on keep trade cut or whatever right now, which would be a first, I would do that in a heartbeat. Just that's just me. But getting into Rashad White, most of his great work and especially his fantasy work has come in the receiving game, which is fine. Like that's not a knock necessarily. But 3.3 yards per carry is
Hmm.
not like that great. 2.34 yards after contact per attempt is 49th among qualified running backs, 14th in missed tackles among qualified missed tackles forced among qualified running backs at 23, which isn't terrible. But all the guys right around there with him have less carries than him. Right in front of him at 13th is Tyler Algier, who has 7 less carries than him. And right behind him is Chuba Hubbard, who has 40 less carries than him. So like
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
not where
like
you want to be.
yeah, it's not like he's like crushing it. It just happens that he's kind of in that 4th round. And I think there could be like a changing coach in Tampa Bay. Could be a changing quarterback in Tampa Bay next year. I would imagine he loses snaps if they want to move to a running back that's like more heavily involved in the run game that can get more of a running game going out of them. I mean, he's a current top 10 running back, and I don't think he'll ever get this high again. I just don't like. I like Rashad White as like a role playing, really like solid RB2 sometimes, but not a top 10 RB. So if you could sell him for a 2025 first or like a 2024 first or package him to get even higher.
Yes.
Now, like
Yes.
if you're pushing towards the playoffs this year, keep him because like he's got that role this year. Like there's no reason to sell him. But like say for instance, I referenced our Jersey league, the Fresh Duds League. I'm sitting right in the playoffs right now. If I miss the playoffs or it looks like I'm gonna miss the playoffs before the trade deadline, Rashad White is 100% a guy I would look to sell for a first to a team going into the playoffs trying to get a running back. Like because I just don't see him being this same exact guy next year. Now, do I see him being a good role player as an RB2? Like I said earlier, yeah, absolutely. But if you could get a first round pick and potentially like a stud for him, well, like obviously a first round pick, and then you have to make that pick a stud, but you know what I mean? Like if you could turn him into that, I think now's the time to do it because, like I said, I just don't think he's going to be a top 10 running back ever again.
No, no, the guy looks great in space, but when your rushing efficiency is that shitty, you're not getting in the space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's He's a third down back, man. He's got 95% catch rate. He's
Yeah,
doing a lot of
awesome at
things
that.
good, but he is not a between the tackles guy, and
Mm-mm,
they will address that.
for
Should have kept
sure.
Lenny. Should have just kept Lenny, but whatever. Well, shit.
Well, yeah, so that wraps up our trade deadline buys and sells. So like we do every week, Dan, do you want to take it away on some matchups to look out for?
Yes, I'll do it. I'll do it again. So yeah, I'm still really enjoying checking out teams that are allowing and producing multiple touchdowns and double digit targets uh, each week. So it was a pretty exciting week. A lot of people were involved in this last week, but I'll cut straight to the matchups I'm looking at this week. There's about seven of them, four on the multi TD games. It's Dallas, man. Dallas is playing Carolina, and we know
Mm.
Carolina has just been giving up all the. They have four multiple touchdown games to individual players on the season. Dallas has only produced one such game, but it could be that week, get Tony Pollard that double TD bump, and then you can get rid of him, man. I'm so happy to hear you say all that. I've never really been a true Pollard head, so that makes me happy. But rolling straight in the next one, this is going to just be a brutal game as far as the receiving and the delivery. But Detroit is up against Chicago,
Oof.
and we're coming off of that Gibbs just had that week, man. So I think that it's going to be a multi TD on the ground game for
Mm.
sure,
Okay.
with a possibility of stacking it with multiple TDs through the air. It's just like the Detroit just be salivating if you have a Detroit player going into this week.
It's fair.
Um, but yeah, I'm looking for Jacksonville to rebound a little bit. They got a little waxed last week, and they've got three multiple touchdown games, all on the ground, all Travis Etienne, and they're going up against Tennessee, who has
Ooh.
allowed three such games. So they're not all rushing allowed, but they are pretty vulnerable on the defensive side. So I'm looking for a bounce back for Jacksonville in that game. And the almighty bounce back is going to be the Dolphins, dude.
Mm.
They got waxed in Germany and
Hmm.
then got sent home to think about it for an extra week. They were sent to their room in Florida, and now they're going up against the Raiders.
Oh,
Man, give me something to be happy about here. This is going to be brutal. Yeah, Miami, you all know they've got six games where an individual player has had multiple touchdowns, um, and five of them have been on the ground. With
mm.
Raheem and A Chain, and I'm pretty sure A Chain's back in action this week.
Yeah.
And
He got
the
at least
Raiders
activated this week.
activated.
Yeah,
I hope he's back in action, man.
that'd
I
be
need him,
awesome.
and I need him. But no matter what happens, Miami's going to come to make a statement against this after what happened. So that's that. That's the multiple touchdown guarantees. Dallas, Detroit, Jacksonville,
Okay.
and Miami. So put them
Send
down.
it.
But as far as the double digit target games, it's a little slim. But Cincinnati has been doing it, seven times. They're really all about it, and they're going up against Baltimore, that's allowed it eight times. So I'm looking for funneled targets. Pretty sure Higgins is still out, so
Yeah.
you'll be looking at Chase doing the damn thing. It's gonna be a good one for him. The Rams versus Seattle. So the Rams have done it nine times. We all know the Puka story, and now
Mm.
Cooper Cup, whatever. Matthew Stafford's supposed to be back, good to go this week. So they've got nine of those games. Seattle has allowed six of them. So their defense is letting you funnel it. So I look for that to go down. And then the last one is Tampa Bay. So they have got six games where they've gone double digits. You're looking at your Mike Evans type guys, and San Francisco has allowed it for eight games. So it's just how the defense is playing. They have a soft spot that's being kind of utilized, or they're allowing a top end wide receiver to have success. So I'm looking for that, and that's it. Those are my seven matchups to keep an eye on. Can you hear me?
No, I can. Yeah, the sorry for the dogs barking for the
No, I
audience
could
or
not.
you
Didn't.
guys.
Yeah,
Okay, if it didn't come through, but
I
that's
saw a
what I was
reaction.
reacting to is they barked and I was like, what the hell is some am I about to get murdered? What's going on? Well, appreciate you taking us down the multi TDs. Go ahead and check in those 4 games for multi touchdowns. Go ahead and line up your DFS, and maybe it's not Tony Pollard. It's probably old CD Lamb. I think he keeps the old gravy train rolling,
Oh
and
yeah.
I need him to anyway. But until or now, that's us wrapped up for this week. Sorry guys, I'm on a little bit of a weird hike or a weird trip right now, but thank you for joining us this week. Like, share, and subscribe, all of that. But until next week, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Stay weird with us.
I took a lease out on your heart.